First Contact Protocols. The Sentinel Observatory at the edge of Confederation space had maintained its silent watch for over 3 centuries without incident. Senior observer Thalax found comfort in this monotony, his 6 appendages moving methodically across the monitoring stations as they had every cycle for the past 17 years. The Galactic Confederation of aligned species had experienced unprecedented peace since its founding, with 27 sentient civilizations sharing knowledge, resources, and cultural exchange without major conflict. That peace was precisely why the alarm caused such confusion. Unidentified vessel detected at boundary marker 447 Alpha, the automated system announced, its melodic tones incongruous with the significance of the message. Thalax's chromatophores flashed deep purple with surprise. Verification sequence, he commanded, certain it must be a system malfunction. The Confederation had catalogued all spacefaring civilizations within 1,000 light-years. Verification complete. Unknown vessel of non-Confederation design. Mass approximately 3.4 million metric units. Energy signature inconsistent with known propulsion systems. The observatory's crew, representing 5 different Confederation species, gathered around the central display, their biological differences momentarily forgotten in shared bewilderment. Transmission incoming, the system announced. The holographic display flickered before resolving into an image that sent ripples of shock through the observatory. The being appeared bipedal, with 2 arms, a single head, and pinkish-beige external covering. Its facial features were alien yet disturbingly familiar. 2 forward-facing eyes, a protruding nasal structure, and a mouth with exposed dentition. This is Captain Elena Sato of the Earth ship Resilience. The creature spoke in clear, deliberate tones. We come in peace and request diplomatic contact with your governing authority. Translation algorithms functioning at 87% efficiency. The system noted. Language structure consistent with known linguistic patterns. Thalax recovered his composure first. I am Senior Observer Thalax of the Galactic Confederation. Your presence is unexpected. Our records indicate no spacefaring civilization in the direction from which you approach. The alien's facial features shifted subtly. We have traveled far. Our navigational data suggests we have crossed nearly 600 light-years from our origin point. The implications were staggering. No Confederation vessel had achieved sustained travel beyond 30 light-years from their homeworlds. The energy requirements alone would be. Your vessel, Thalax continued, his professional training overriding his shock. Its design is unfamiliar. The Resilience is a Defender-class warship, the last of Earth's fleet, Captain Sato replied. Her tone remained neutral, but the word warship sent immediate alarm through the observatory crew. Kavix, the security liaison, stepped forward, his insectoid mandibles clicking with agitation. Warship, your vessel is designed for combat. The Resilience was built for deep space exploration and diplomatic missions, Captain Sato clarified. But yes, it maintains defensive capabilities. The euphemism wasn't lost on anyone present. In the Confederation, even the concept of armed vessels had become largely theoretical over the centuries. We request permission to approach your central systems, Captain Sato continued. We seek peaceful exchange and possibly asylum. Thalax's chromatophores shifted to a concerned blue-green. I must consult with central authority. Please maintain your position until further notice. The transmission ended, and immediate chaos erupted in the observatory. A warship. At our borders. Kavix's agitation had spread to his entire exoskeleton, which now vibrated visibly. We don't know they're hostile, countered Melora, the cultural specialist, her feathered crest expanding with excitement. A new sentient species. Think of the possibilities. Thalax silenced them all with a flash of authoritative deep red across his skin. I've initiated emergency protocols. The High Council is assembling. Until then, we observe. For the next 6 hours, the observatory monitored the alien vessel from a safe distance. The ship, The Resilience maintained its position exactly as requested, making no threatening movements. Detailed scans were attempted but yielded little information beyond basic dimensions and composition. The hull appeared to absorb or deflect most scanning frequencies. The High Council's response finally arrived. Initiate First Contact Protocol, 7C Escort Vessel to Diplomacy Station Harmony. Maintain security distance. Authorization granted for comprehensive scan upon approach to verify absence of prohibited technologies. Thalax transmitted the instructions to the human vessel, which acknowledged and began following their escort ship toward the inner system. As they approached Diplomacy Station Harmony, a massive orbital facility designed specifically for meetings with new species, Thalax received the authorization codes for the comprehensive scan. Captain Sato, Confederation protocols require a verification scan of your vessel before docking. This is standard procedure for all first contacts. There was a noticeable pause before the human responded. We understand the necessity, Observer Thalax. However, we consider deep scanning without mutual protocol agreement to be potentially hostile. We would request limitations on the scan depth. The request was unprecedented. All previous first contacts had complied without question. I apologize, Captain, but the scan parameters are non-negotiable for station approach. Thalax replied, following protocol exactly. Another pause. Very well. You may proceed with your scan, Observer. The scanning process began, utilizing the Confederation's most advanced quantum resonance technology to create a complete three-dimensional model of the human vessel's interior. Initially, the data seemed unremarkable: crew quarters, hydroponic gardens, medical facilities, engineering sections. Then the weapons systems began to appear in the scan results. This cannot be correct, whispered Ilara, the technical specialist, her slender fingers trembling as she analyzed the incoming data. The energy readings from their weapon systems exceed our entire defense station's output. Kavix leaned forward, his compound eyes widening. Railgun batteries capable of accelerating projectiles to significant percentages of light speed. Antimatter warheads. Energy weapons of unknown design but tremendous theoretical yield. Their hull, Ilara continued, her voice hushed. Multiple layers of advanced composites and energy-absorbing materials. It could withstand concentrated fire from our entire defense fleet. Thalax felt his skin involuntarily shifting to pale yellow, the color of extreme alarm among his species. But the most disturbing revelation came next. Observer, Ilara said, her voice barely audible. Their targeting systems. They're active. They have been since they arrived. Active. What targets? Thalax demanded. Our primary power nodes. Defense control centers. Propulsion inhibitors. Ilara looked up, her eyes wide. They could disable the entire station in less than 20 seconds. The realization hit Thalax with physical force. The human ship had entered their space with weapons primed and targets acquired, all while transmitting peaceful intentions. Either this was a prelude to the most calculating attack in Confederation history, or they expected a trap, Kavix said, mandibles clicking rapidly. They came prepared to fight their way out if necessary. The implications were staggering. What kind of civilization developed such paranoia? What experiences would lead them to approach peaceful contact with weapons ready? The scan is complete, Thalax announced, trying to keep his voice steady. They've complied with all requests and maintained position as instructed. Whatever their capabilities, they've shown no actual hostility. Yet, Kavix added grimly, the decision rested with the High Council, which was now receiving the scan data in real time. Their response came with unprecedented speed. Proceed with diplomatic contact under highest security protocols. First contact team deploying immediately. As the human vessel docked with Diplomacy Station Harmony, the atmosphere throughout the Confederation shifted perceptibly. News had spread quickly, and every information network buzzed with speculation about the heavily armed aliens who had appeared at their borders. The first contact team assembled in the station's grand reception chamber. 12 representatives from different member species, all specialists in diplomacy, synopsychology, and cultural integration. Security personnel lined the walls, though everyone understood the futility of their presence if the humans decided to attack. When the airlock finally cycled open, the humans entered with surprising simplicity. Captain Alina Sato led a group of 5, all wearing similar dark uniforms with subtle insignia. They appeared physically similar despite variations in coloration, height, and facial features. On behalf of the last survivors of Earth, Captain Sato said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber, "I greet the Galactic Confederation with hopes for peaceful exchange." High Counselor Vereen stepped forward, her crystalline form capturing and refracting light in the traditional greeting of her species. "The Confederation welcomes you, though we must acknowledge our concern regarding the military nature of your vessel." Captain Sato's expression remained neutral. "We noticed your scan was quite thorough. I assume you have questions about our defensive capabilities." "Defensive?" Counselor Vereen's voice held a note of disbelief. "Your ship carries enough firepower to destroy multiple Confederation worlds. And yet we come in peace," Sato replied evenly. "Perhaps before judging our preparedness, you might wish to understand why it exists." The tension in the room was palpable as Captain Sato placed a small device on the table between them. It projected a holographic image of a beautiful blue-green planet. "This was Earth, our homeworld," she said softly. "This recording was taken 7 years ago, just before our departure." The image shifted, showing the same planet racked with massive explosions visible from space, entire continents glowing with unnatural fire. "We learned the cost of unpreparedness in the most final way possible," Captain Sato continued, her composure cracking slightly. "The Resilience isn't just a ship. It carries the last 50,000 human beings in existence." The chamber fell completely silent. The weight of history, the holographic image of Earth's destruction, continued to play in terrible silence. The Confederation representatives watched as continents burned and oceans boiled on a world none of them had known existed until today. "What happened?" High Counselor Vereen finally asked, her crystalline form dimming in empathetic response. Captain Sato's eyes never left the image of her dying world. "We called them the Devourers. They appeared without warning at the edge of our solar system. No communication, no demands, just immediate attack." She gestured, and a hologram shifted to show massive, organic-looking vessels, unlike anything in Confederation records. "They bypassed our outer defenses entirely. Our most powerful weapons barely slowed them. In less than 14 days, Earth's population went from 10 billion to scattered groups of survivors." The human called Commander Rodriguez stepped forward. "The Resilience was our newest vessel, designed for deep space exploration. When the attack came, it was undergoing final testing beyond Neptune. We managed to evacuate who we could and escaped while the rest of our fleet created a diversion." "A suicide stand," Captain Sato added quietly. "Every remaining Earth vessel sacrificed themselves to give us a chance to escape." The implication stunned the Confederation representatives. Self-sacrifice on such a scale was almost incomprehensible in their peaceful society. "The Devourers didn't pursue?" Kavix asked, professional interest overriding his earlier suspicion. "They showed no interest once the planet was consumed," Rodriguez replied. "Their ships actually began to dismantle themselves, components raining down to the surface. Our last observations indicated they were building something." Science Counselor Zim's tentacles writhed with intellectual excitement despite the grim subject. "Fascinating. Possibly a resource-harvesting civilization. They may consume planets for raw materials before moving on." "People," Captain Sato corrected sharply. "They consumed people. Our people." An uncomfortable silence followed before High Counselor Vereen spoke again. "We grieve for your loss, Captain, but it still doesn't explain why your ship approached us with active targeting systems locked on our critical infrastructure." Captain Sato's expression hardened. "For 7 years we've traveled through unknown space, never knowing if we'd encounter the Devourers again or something worse. We've made first contact with 3 other civilizations before yours. The first welcomed us openly, offered supplies and shelter. Rodriguez continued. 3 days later, they attempted to seize our ship while our personnel were groundside. We barely escaped. The second tried to quarantine us, claimed our biology might be dangerous, added another human, introduced as Science Officer Chen. When we discovered they were actually studying ways to neutralize our technology, we left immediately. And the third? Counselor Vereen asked. The third were refugees like us, Sato said quietly. Their world had also been visited by the Devourers decades earlier. Only a few thousand had escaped. With no functional military vessels, they'd been relegated to servitude by their protectors on a mining colony. We liberated who we could and continued on. The explanation brought new context to the humans' paranoia, but also raised alarming questions about their interventionist approach. You must understand, Thalax interjected, his chromatophores shifting to a diplomatic blue. The Confederation has maintained peace for over 9 centuries. Armed vessels are virtually non-existent. Your approach, however justified by your experiences, represents an existential concern. Captain Sato nodded. We understand. That's why we're here openly, requesting diplomatic relations rather than simply passing through your territory unannounced, which, given your detection capabilities, we could likely have done. A fact that does little to reassure us, Kavix noted dryly. Perhaps a demonstration would help, Sato suggested. With your permission, I'd like to have our engineering chief explain some of our technology, specifically our defensive systems. After brief consultation, the Confederation representatives agreed. Chief Engineer Patel, a small human with dark skin and quick movements, activated a complex holographic display. The Resilience was originally designed as an exploration vessel, he began. When the attack came, we had to adapt quickly. This shield technology, for instance, he highlighted a complex network of emitters along the ship's hull, was originally designed to protect against interstellar dust and radiation during high-speed travel. But you weaponized it, Kavix observed. We enhanced it, Patel corrected. By modulating the field frequency, we can now repel energy weapons and physical projectiles while maintaining life support with minimal power drain. The technology is adaptable, not inherently offensive. For the next hour, Patel detailed various systems that showcased human ingenuity, solutions born of desperate circumstances, but applicable to peaceful purposes, propulsion systems that could be reconfigured for planetary energy production, medical technology that had evolved to handle combat trauma, but could revolutionize Confederation healthcare. The presentation was beginning to thaw relations when alarms blared throughout the station. Unidentified vessels approaching, announced the station's automated system. Attack configuration detected. The humans reacted instantly, moving with practiced precision. Captain, the Resilience is reporting 5 vessels on approach, weapons hot, Rodriguez reported, touching a small communication device in his ear. Not ours, High Counselor Vereen assured them, her crystalline form flashing with alarm patterns. Confederation vessels don't maintain weapons systems. External view screens activated, showing 5 sleek vessels rapidly approaching the station. Their design was Confederation, but heavily modified with obvious weapons mounts. The purists, Thalax exclaimed, his skin paling. They've threatened secession for years, claiming the Confederation has grown weak through peace. They're opening fire, cried a station officer as the first energy beams struck the diplomatic station's minimal shields. Captain Sato's decision was immediate. Commander Rodriguez, deploy defensive measures. Minimum force, protective posture only. Acknowledged, Rodriguez replied, relaying orders through his communicator. Resilience deploying countermeasures. On the view screens, the massive human vessel detached from the station and moved with surprising grace to intercept the attackers. Instead of opening fire as expected, The Resilience projected a shimmering field that expanded to encompass the entire station. Advanced shield harmonics, Paddle explained as energy weapons from the attacking ships, dissipated harmlessly against the barrier. We're extending our defensive field around your station. The Confederation representatives watched in astonishment as the human vessel absorbed attack after attack without returning fire. Why aren't they attacking? Kavix demanded. Their weapons could obliterate those ships instantly. Because that's not who we want to be anymore, Captain Sato said quietly. We've seen enough destruction. The standoff continued for several minutes before the Resilience finally took action. Precisely targeted electromagnetic pulses disabled the attacking ship's propulsion systems without causing catastrophic damage. When one vessel attempted to self-destruct rather than be captured, the Resilience locked it in a tractor beam, preventing the explosion. Within 20 minutes, the crisis was over. The purest vessels were disabled, their crews alive but contained. Not a single life had been lost despite the unprovoked attack. As the emergency subsided, the dynamics in the diplomatic chamber had fundamentally changed. The humans had demonstrated not just overwhelming technological superiority, but remarkable restraint. You could have destroyed them, High Counselor Vereen observed. It would have been justified as self-defense. We've destroyed enough, Captain Sato replied. Humanity's history is filled with violence and warfare, often against ourselves. It drove our technological development, but cost us dearly in other ways. She paused, looking at each Confederation representative in turn. Perhaps our greatest irony is that we finally achieved global peace just 5 years before the Devourers arrived. Science Officer Chen stepped forward. Our weapons remained targeted on your systems, not because we wanted to attack, but because after everything we've experienced, we couldn't risk being unprepared. But being prepared doesn't mean being eager for conflict. In the hours that followed, the diplomatic discussions took on new urgency and direction. The humans' advanced technology, particularly their defensive capabilities, represented exactly what the Confederation lacked: protection against threats they'd never had to consider. Equally important was the warning the humans brought. If the Devourers had consumed Earth, they might eventually reach Confederation space. The peace that had reigned for centuries might have left them catastrophically vulnerable. 3 days later, the agreement was formalized. Humanity would join the Galactic Confederation as its 28th member species, with special dispensation to maintain military capability as a protective force. In exchange, the Resilience would become a combined command vessel, carrying representatives from all member species and sharing technology to develop a unified defense strategy. This is not the outcome I expected when we detected your ship, Philax admitted to Captain Sato as they stood watching the integration of Confederation technology with human systems. Nor what we expected when we approached your borders with weapons locked, Sato replied with the first genuine smile since her arrival. Your targeting protocols saved us all, Philax observed, both by ensuring your own survival long enough to reach us and by warning us of dangers we never imagined. Captain Sato's expression grew solemn. Sometimes preparation for the worst allows for the best outcomes. Earth learned that lesson too late. As the Resilience prepared for its new mission, not as a refugee vessel, but as the flagship of a reborn Confederation defense force, humanity had found not just asylum but purpose. The last survivors of Earth would ensure that no other civilization shared their fate. The weapons remained ready, the targeting systems vigilant, but now they protected many worlds, not just the memory of one.